All right. We're still waiting for Coach Doug Williams.
No, you're not.
There you are. All right. Good morning, Coach. How you doing?
I'm doing good.
All right.
To all the standing and found out we 0-6. Kind of unusual, but it is what it is, right?
I sure hate to ruin your Monday morning, Coach.
No, you didn't. I promise you didn't.
All right. Of course, the Tigers came up. It was a Tiger fight against Texas Southern last weekend. Texas Southern coming up with the 23-20 win. You are back home this weekend hosting Jackson State on Saturday.
Yes, we are. And like you say, we played a pretty decent game, but at the end of the day, we couldn't come away. We couldn't finish. Two teams that have been struggling pretty good, and Texas Southern wanted it more than we did. But I take my hat off to the young guys. They didn't quit. We just got to find a way to wiggle out of some of those things. And this week we playing a much better football team in Jackson State. And we know they're still very much in the running for the East Crown, and hopefully we can play a smaller role. Hopefully, but at the end of the day, we got to go out and not make the mistakes that we've been making.
And, Coach, as you said, you're looking back at Saturday's game, you fell behind by a pair of touchdowns, but the team still stayed in it and came back to tie it in time for halftime, just didn't have enough to finish it out at the end.
Well, that's the good thing about it. We got a bunch of young guys who didn't quit, and as a coach, that's the most important thing. And they didn't roll over and just say, it's over with. They fought to the bitter end, and when you see that, you know there's going to be brighter days ahead.
All right, we're talking to head coach Doug Williams from Grambling State. Floor is now open for questions for Coach Williams. Questions for Coach Williams. Also want to remind you, we hear some background noise. Please make sure to use that *6 function to mute your phone if you have some conversations going on in the background. That way we don't interrupt any of the coaches while they're trying to speak. Okay. Once again, Coach, you will be facing Jackson State over the weekend, a rested Jackson State team, and they have plenty to play for. And as you said, you'll be playing the spoiler role this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, that's all left for us, and to play hard and trying to finish on a good note. I think that's the most important thing for us at this stage is to try to build the confidence of these young guys, playing for a little more pride than we usually, used to playing to try to win the championship. We're not in that position, but we can't quit playing. I think that's the most important thing.
Jackson State puts up a lot of, they have a pretty high-powered offense. The defense is pretty good, especially in their last outing. They were able to hold down a pretty good team in Alabama State. Talk about what's going to take for the Tigers to get a victory this weekend.
Well, in their last outing, it was Mississippi Valley. They won in overtime.
Right. I'm going back in the past too far. That's right.
Yeah, give Mississippi Valley some credit now.
That's right. Exactly. That was a great game played by Jackson State in which they did. You're correct. They did come up with the overtime win. A good defensive struggle. And Valley, of course, being the top of the league in defense. Is there anything that you took from that game that might help you out on the Teleconference?
Really hadn't seen a lot of it yet. We was too busy trying to win one this past week. Today, I was sitting here and watch it, but we know what Mississippi Valley is capable of doing. So basically, it was a good game. But at the same time, it's evident that Jackson has a pretty good football team to do what they did against Mississippi Valley. They throw the ball. They got a lot of passing yardage. Total offense, they put up a lot of yards total offense-wise. So we know they're pretty balanced attack, averaging almost 400 yards a game. And I think that in itself kind of tell you what kind of offense that they have. They've given up a few yards from a defensive standpoint, but they've held their ground a little more than usual. So, and it's playing. And you're talking about Jackson State, who's always a very, very competitive football team.
Yeah, talk about the job of Frank Rivers. He had a great weekend, passed for 3 touchdown passes.
Frank had a good weekend. DJ will start this year. This week, DJ only did not start because of an injury, not because switching the quarterbacks, and he didn't lose his job because of injuries. He will be back. Frank had a good job, and we got to give him credit for that.
One thing you had to be a little bit disappointed in, 10 penalties for 126 yards.
Oh, ain't no doubt. That's where the discipline comes in at, and that's all on us as coaches. We got to hone in to the guys a little more than we probably have on penalties. When you're a struggling football team, things like that sets in. And at the end of the day, you just got to find a way to overcome it.
You mentioned earlier that there's not much left outside of playing spoiler for GSU this year. Going down the stretch run, what types of things along with that do you kind of reach for to get the guys motivated every week?
Well, you got to keep going forward and let them know this is about pride more than anything right now. And you got to find out who got the pride and who want to play and who's willing to play. And it's not only for this week, but this is for the weeks to come and next year and everything else, whether or not you want to be a part of what we have to do here. I think that's the bottom line.
All right, we're talking to head coach Doug Williams from Grambling State University, and the floor is still open for a couple of questions. Do we have any other questions for Coach Williams?
I think you have them all today.
Maybe I've emptied my gun, Coach. Well, if we don't have any other questions, I guess we'll go ahead and let you get back to work and get back to your preparations for Jackson State this weekend. Of course, the Tigers in action, 2:00 p.m. on Saturday on the home field. Thanks, Coach Williams, for joining us, and we talk to you again next Monday.
Appreciate it.
All right, that was head coach Doug Williams from Grambling State University.